Hi, it's Chris Titley here as part of the Scoreboard podcast series. I'm joined by Bella Nasser in person here in Brizzy. Bella, thank you so much for being part of the series.
Thank you for having me.
Bella, 2025, we're sitting here on the 11th of March already, the third month of the year. How's your 2025 shaped up so far?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Both on and off the field, it's been pretty successful, and I'm really excited for the rest of the year.
And you want to talk about some of the success early on in 2025?
Yeah, on the field, we headed over to Perth for the Perth Sevens, our third leg of the series, and we got the win there for the first time in, I think it was 8 years.
On
home soil.
Awesome.
Yep. So for a lot of our girls, it was, including me, it was our first or second time playing at home, and then to get the win was just awesome. So that really kicked off the year, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, and now captain of the Sevens. Congratulations! Your first captain win, particular one.
No,
in terms of tournaments.
No, we won Dubai in December.
Right.
So
wow,
kicked it off straight away. But yeah, captaincy's been awesome. It's been challenging, but really exciting, and I'm still navigating my way through it all. But I've really enjoyed it, and so. We'll head over to Hong Kong and Singapore in a couple of weeks and hopefully continue our success.
Awesome. And Rugby Sevens for you, where did it start? How did the love begin?
Yeah, it's a long but short story. Growing up, Mum and Dad always encouraged us to play heaps of sports, and we played netball, touch football, swimming, hockey, any sport you could name. We probably tried it, and my sort of focus to touch football formed when I moved from an all-girls school to Brisbane State High. And then the 2016 Rio Olympics happened, and the women's sevens team won the gold medal there with the likes of Emily Cherry, Shani Smale, Charlotte Caslick, Alicia Quirk. And then, I was hooked immediately, got super inspired by them, and a lot of them came from the touch football background, so I was like, oh, this is really awesome. And then an opportunity to go to the Olympics. That's incredible. And then, State High formed this incredible sevens program where we played all different kinds of schools at a tournament called All Schools. And, I just jumped straight into it. And then my focus sort of morphed from there.
And all the sports you played, did you have a love besides touch footy? Yeah,
well, at my school, the all-girls school, or Hallows, I was solely focused on water polo. My older sister was a youth national water polo player, so I was like following in her footsteps, and I absolutely loved it. It was awesome. And then I had played touch football from a young age, and that was always my number one sport. I was I was a bit of a diehard touchy.
And what was it about water polo and touch that sort of you attracted to? What was it?
I've always been very attracted to team sports. I sort of never was very good at an individual sport. I just love being around people, and I love bouncing off other people and meeting new people and learning from other people. So, probably the team sport aspect of both the sports was what attracted me the most.
And now you're the leader, you're the captain. Where did that are you a leader in terms of, like, have you always been a leader? Have you always been one that sort of worked out team dynamics, etc., behind the scenes, as opposed to being an individual performer?
Possibly. I've never really focused my attention on captaincy or leadership, and I don't really go into a team being like, all right, I'm going to lead everyone around. So people could say it comes pretty naturally in some aspects, but at school I was always captaining or the captain of sports, and I was a prefect at State High, and I think it sort of comes pretty naturally to me, and I always focus on trying to be the best team person and best player I can be, and I'm still striving to do that, obviously. But it's sort of, I don't really focus my attention on my captaincy and my values and stuff in that regard, more focusing on me as a person and me as part of the team.
Yeah, I'm interested to know around the levels of attention that you get now as captain. There's a lot more media. There's a lot of cameras on you, etc. And you've had that. You said previous levels. Are you okay with that?
Yeah. I think probably despite the increase in attention and media, particularly on the World Series, like during that week, and the captain's photos and the interviews and post-match interviews and stuff, my role sort of within the team hasn't really changed too much. Obviously, I have to do a lot more meetings with coaches and stuff like that, but my role within the team on the field hasn't changed at all. So, yeah.
I'm interested to know around that role on the field, knowing your role, and everyone knows their role, and I've spoken to a few people about the different roles, whether it be on the bench, whether it be your impact player for 5 minutes. The more people get to know their roles in the team, the better the team is.
Yeah.
How did you go with that early on in regards to growing up and potentially being on the fringe of some of these teams?
Yeah. Well, I think growing up, I sort of made a few teams when I was a bit younger, and I was sort of always on the fringe of it a little bit, and never really starting in some of the teams that I was going up with. And I think a big thing I learned from that is just taking the opportunity when I've got it. So if I do get on for a minute, I'm giving it my all for that 1 minute just to give myself a better opportunity for next time. So, yeah, I think our coach, Tim Walsh, he harps on about knowing your role, and we have a know your role document for each individual in our team. And I think, as you said, if everyone knows their role within the team and they know what they're doing in particular moments, our success is going to be greater throughout the whole season. So, yeah.
And Bella, what's you have been named as captain, you've been picked in these teams. What do you think it is about you that makes people want to pick you, want to select you, want to make you as captain?
That's a good question. I think I don't really know, but
your superpower, as Paul Roos called it. Yeah.
If I was to probably say one, I'm like a big team person. I will like do anything for the team. Our mantra this season is team first. So I constantly put the team first, and I harp onto the team about putting the team first, and every action you do on and off the field is for the team when we're in season. So probably that, I'd say. And yeah, I give it my 100% effort in everything I do, whether I'm good or bad at it. I'm giving it my all. So.
Yeah, and then a weakness? What do you reckon your biggest weakness is?
My biggest weakness is probably I like to please everyone and make everyone feel really good about themselves, which is I think is a strength. And
so you get involved in little side conversations. What's going on over here? Can I help?
Well, yeah, I like to praise in public and criticize in private. So I think sometimes that could be a weakness, because it's important to show the team that we're pulling up and we're being strict on behaviours and stuff. But yeah, I think probably my ability to criticize when it's required is probably my biggest weakness.
What about when you go hard at everything and things don't work out? Do you pick yourself up a bit quicker than most?
I think so, yeah. I'm sort of growing up with brothers and an older sister. I think I've learnt to get on with it pretty quickly. You don't really have time to dwell on too many things when you've got your siblings around you sort of pushing you to move on. So, yeah, I think I pick myself up pretty quick.
Are you ultra competitive?
Yes, I'd say I'm very competitive.
Even off the field, like in terms of like a game of Scrabble?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not losing, you know.
And you reckon that's the siblings that have done that too?
Probably, yeah. My siblings are very competitive, like ultra competitive.
So the old sort of Boxing Day, silly season, get the card game out, board game out, it's chaos in your household?
Yeah, you don't want to see a backyard touch game. You don't want to see that.
No?
No. It gets a bit crazy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that's probably where our rugby morphed from. We sort of went from touch football into contact pretty quick.
And your dad played for the Wallabies as well.
Yeah.
Did you grow up watching him on the TV?
My dad did play for the Wallabies, but all our childhood, he's never really shown his footage. He's very humble about that sort of part of his life. And we've obviously got his cap and an Australian jersey in a particular part of our house alongside Josh and I's. But yeah, I couldn't tell you that I've seen a game of his.
Yeah. And growing up, little Bella, what was her dream?
My dream, as I said before, I always loved sport. So I've always wanted to do sport. I loved the idea of being a doctor. So I sort of tried really hard at school. I was very hard on myself in study, and I'm at university at the moment. So yeah, I always strive to be very successful in whatever I do, and I'm still striving to be. the best I can be. So, yeah.
And you made it as a professional athlete, and you're bouncing around, you're travelling, etc. What's the lifestyle like?
It's pretty crazy. It's sort of, we're constantly on the go. We're living out of a suitcase, but it's a dream, really. We're traveling to 7, 8, 9 countries a year and playing a sport that we love alongside our best friends, so you can't really complain too much. But it's pretty cool. And I'm living in Sydney at the moment, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, I can't really complain too much about the lifestyle.
Do you want to give the listeners a bit of an indication of the circuit, how the circuit works?
Yeah, so the circuit kicks off in Dubai, and then we usually do a back-to-back in Cape Town, and it consists of maybe 7 or 8 tournaments, depending on the layout, all over the world. And for the past 2 years, including this one, there's been a grand final World Series at the very end. So last year it was in Madrid. And
that's just for the people that have won all the points or the top 4 or something, or is it for everyone?
It's for everyone.
Oh, okay. So actually a final.
So it's pretty much like...
Doesn't matter what everything else has done in the past. And
Yeah.
if you won Hong Kong or not, doesn't really matter. But this one
This one's the one you want to win. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were sitting at second prior to Madrid last year, and then we won Madrid. So we won the whole thing. So
awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. There was a few clutch moments from Tia Hines, our kicker, and we were into the final, and then won Madrid.
And the popularity of women's sevens on a global basis. Can you talk about that and how that's rising in some of the countries that may not be as prominent in the men's side of things, but are really rising in the women's countries like Brazil and Japan and Canada, etc.? Yeah,
for sure. I think the rise in women's sport, particularly contact sport, is just amazing over the past few years, and sevens consistently increases in popularity throughout the years. And I think the World Series circuit is such an attraction for females and males to push for those Australian teams or push for those country teams and travel the world with their closest friends. It's sort of like a pretty good incentive, I think. But yeah, I think, as you said, Brazil, Japan, even Canada coming up the ranks. They did awesome at the Olympics, came second. It's just awesome to see. And Japan in Vancouver just recently got their best position ever in a World Series tournament. They came 4th, and we versed them in a 3rd, 4th playoff, and they gave us a good run for our money. So, it's just awesome to see the growth of all teams across the whole world.
Yeah, and as you've played sevens for quite some time now, can you talk about the sort of the change in the game? There's more technology, there's more data, there's more sports tech things to kind of make you a better sevens player than maybe 10 years ago? Yeah,
for sure. There's been like heaps of improvements in GPS data and technology, viewing, like everything. It's been incredible. So it's like the ability for us to review games is so much more enhanced that we're able to be better players. And our GPS data is showing us we're running this many high-speed meters, so tomorrow we'll pull back a little bit. So injury prevention. So the advancements in technology is just unbelievable these days. And to keep yourself fit, obviously, with the travelling and all those things, have you got any travel hacks for people out there? Probably Hydrolite on planes. Yeah.
Like as you get on or towards the end? Because I'm a Hydrolite person. On, during, off. Just keep yourself hydrated. Yeah. Any tips for jet lag? Jet lag? I'm a pretty good sleeper, so I don't really have many tips because I just close my eyes and off I go. But I sleep with an eye mask every single night. That's a big tick for me. So you're a good sleeper? I'm a very good sleeper. Yeah. I'm pretty easy to go to sleep, but I'm light when I sleep, so the eye mask sort of just knocks me out a little bit. It's like a tablet or something. I don't know what it is. That's good. Yeah. That's normally a sort of a small amount of Netflix for me that knocks me off on my phone. It shouldn't be because of the blue stuff is not very good for your sleep, etc. But I've got a CPAP machine, so it's all right. It's strong. Stop me snoring. So coffee drinker? I am a coffee drinker. Yeah. Should offer you a coffee. There's a coffee thing next door, actually. We're going to have one after. Okay. What's your 1 a day, 2 a day, 3 a day? I'm just a 1 a day. Potentially 2 if I'm pushing for it. But yeah, pretty. Me saying I'm a coffee drinker, I just drink a pretty weak coffee in the morning. And when you jump on a plane, are you first to the movie or you want to listen to a podcast? I normally put my headphones on, read a book. I don't know, I'm not a very good movie watcher because I get a bit bored, I get a bit agitated, can't really sit still for too long. Like a fast-paced person, like the sevens. I'm not very fast. The game. Wouldn't say I'm very fast, but You touched on the Olympics there and sevens being an Olympic sport and obviously the Australians being successful in that. Do you want to talk about your Olympic experience in 2024? Paris, how was it?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I think it's obviously my first Olympics and my whole family came over and it was the experience, the atmosphere, the whole environment of the village, the crowd at the stadium. It was just unbelievable. I had the best experience. And then obviously on the field, we came fourth. We didn't particularly get the result we were striving for. The months leading ahead, it was our pinnacle event and we sort of fell short from what we were going for and it was pretty devastating. I was pretty devastated I still am. So I don't know if I'll ever really move past it, but it sort of like gives you a little fire in your belly to keep going and hopefully strive for 2028.
How did you cope with being at the Olympics, but then, and all the surrounding and just the moment of going, actually, I'm Olympian representing our country at the Olympics as Paris. There's so many people watching, not at the stadium, not only at the stadium, but also online, and then going, okay, we've got to be at our best. We've got to perform. Do you think there was a little bit of like, oh my goodness, this is just sort of a bit overwhelming?
Yeah, possibly. I think obviously the atmosphere, people watching, the messages, it's overwhelming, and I think it probably didn't sink in that I'm representing my country. I'm at an Olympic Games. This is like actually real until I left and I wasn't there. So I don't think that was like a huge part of our distraction or my distraction. I don't think I was really too phased about that. And I think that was probably from experience from the World Series. I think we get that quite a lot. We get big crowds. We get lots of people watching us and, and pretty high pressure moments on a World Series. So I think in that regard, it was pretty okay to deal with.
How are you at the high pressure moments? You mentioned that just then. You're now a bit more experienced. You okay with them? Like, are you just thrive on them?
Yeah, I think it comes, obviously, as you just said, it comes down with experience. So I think in my first year of the World Series, 2022, I was getting very limited minutes and I was freaking out and I was just like getting on the field and I was just not very good in high pressure moments. And then, the more you get put in those environments, the better you cope with them, the more experience, you sort of just find your groove a little bit. And I'd like to say I'm pretty calm-headed when it comes to high pressure moments. So, yeah, I think it comes down to experience.
Yeah, and how do you sort of relay that to some of the younger members, I suppose, when they're getting a little bit jittery or a bit nervous running on for their first game?
Yeah. I worked pretty closely with a sports psychologist leading into the Olympic Games, and he was unbelievable. He told me a few little tips when I'm sort of all over the shop and I'm freaking out. It's like you give yourself a few cues and it's what can I see, what can I feel, what can I smell. I think you go through like your senses.
Like
and
the mindfulness.
Yeah, and you sort of just like bring yourself back to now. And I often do that when it's like a high pressure moment and I'm just like all over the shop. I'd sort of just be like, okay, what can I hear? I can hear the crowd. Cool. What can I feel? I can feel the grass on my boots or whatever, like
you can
I can
actually feel them. Yep.
Yeah, I just feel like it sort of centers yourself back to the now and
and not thinking about the what if, the negativity.
Yeah, it sort of blocks out the negativity and it's like, what if this happens? What if that happens? It's just sort of like, all right, this is my process. This is what I know. I'm prepared for this. And I think the more you're prepared, the less stress you're going to be in a game.
And then when you go out and you're prepared and you give everything, but it doesn't work out and there might be a moment or a ball goes the different direction, etc. How do you feel at the end of it? I suppose because you've given your all, but then you come up short.
Yeah. I think that's just like the beauty of sport, really. It's sort of like, particularly sevens, in such a brutal, fast-paced, short game. It's sort of like a matter of seconds, really, is what a game is going to give. And when a call doesn't go our way or a ball bounces the wrong way, it's sort of, it's disappointing, but you got to sort of play with no regrets. I think you sort of got to go out and you've given it your all, you're prepared, you've done everything you can to put on that performance, and if you do that, then you've got to walk off the field proud.
Yeah, and I mean, the Olympics was very, very harsh, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but certainly the coming back from it now, looking back at Paris, did you have a lot of fun? Yeah,
I had so much fun. It's probably a core memory of mine. Despite the result, the everything about it was unbelievable. And I think debuting at my first Olympics in Paris with my family in the crowd, my friends in the crowd, people watching back home, like you couldn't really complain too much. And I would have loved to get the result we were striving for, but it just makes me a little bit more fiery for next time.
A little bit more resilient. You're a resilient person.
Yeah, for sure. And I think our team is very resilient, and I think that was shown in Dubai when we went out and we won straight off the back of a very disappointing time. I think, it gives credit to our team to be able to bounce back like that and have the little fire in our belly and be so persistent in our training and be resilient in our training to show back up for the World Series.
Do you reckon that's one attribute that has helped you through a lot, or is there other attributes you think that you could sort of suggest to even, 12, 15-year-old girls wanting to play competitive sport?
Yeah, I think being resilient is huge. Probably if I was to give advice to a young girl playing sport, I'd tell them to just have a go at everything. And I'd say opportunity is a very good thing. And if you get the opportunity to play anything, whether it be club rugby or club sport, professional sport, state sport, whatever it is, like give it a go. Just put your hand up and do it, because you never really know who's going to be out there and who's going to be watching you. And that's sort of how you get exposure to it. And that's how you get exposure to people picking you up and stuff. So I just say have a big crack. My favorite saying at the moment is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So why not take a shot?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Bella, the specialisation into touch footy and or sevens, what age did that happen?
It happened around 14, or 13 and 14. And yeah, I was actually a halfback when I was 13, and I've quickly transitioned into a forward. So
yeah, no, just on that. So the positions in sevens, so there's only 7 on the field.
Yes.
So you've got sort of different positions than the 15s or not?
Yeah, it's sort of it is only pretty relevant at like set piece. So like in a scrum, obviously you've got 3 forwards, halfback, a first receiver, a centre, and a wing.
Okay. Yep.
And then at line out, it's pretty similar. And then in general play, you're just everywhere. You got to do everything. So yeah.
And then the 15 game, you've been playing a bit of 15.
Yeah, I actually
Queensland.
Yeah, I debuted for Queensland on the weekend. Just gone in Fiji.
So
for the Reds,
Fiji,
my first game
in
ever.
Sydney, you're in Brisbane. Are you going to Hong Kong?
Yeah.
And how did your debut go on putting on that Queensland jersey?
Yeah, I think it was really special. Queensland's obviously my home, and I'm a diehard Queenslander. So to represent Queensland in 15s was really special, and to debut for them, it was my first 15s game ever. So I was really grateful to be surrounded by such a positive and inclusive environment. So they were also helpful on and off the field, all my teammates and the coaching staff, and yeah, it was unbelievable.
How'd you go?
I said to my dad, I was like, I don't really know how I went because I have no idea what I was doing.
So there's no baseline to compare. I think I did okay.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I think I went all right. I was messaging my brothers being like, can you tell me if I did really bad or really good and what I need to do better for next time? But the coaches were happy with me, and I think the skills from sevens translated really nicely into the 15s game. And at the end of the day, footy is footy.
So it was longer. Right.
Much longer. I looked at the time so I came on at halftime, so 40 minutes to go. I looked at the time, 10 minutes down, and I was like, oh my goodness gracious me, how am I going to do another 30 of this?
Have you gone full throttle the first 10? Is that
I've absolutely sent it in the first 10 minutes.
And you're like, oh no, do this again.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. And
someone taper, slow down.
Yeah. Someone go down as an injury. No. But yeah, I think it was the weather in Fiji as well. It was classic, muggy. It was hot. Had been raining the days before, so the field was sludgy. It was humid. Yeah, it was next level, but it was awesome.
Yeah, and then what position did you play then?
I came on as 7, so I was a flanker.
Oh,
and
okay.
I gave it a red hot crack. And
that's sort of like the ultimate position in sevens rugby, you'd think, because they're versatile. They can be forward, they can be back, they can be somewhere in between, right?
Yeah, I think so. Well, that's sort of what I've been told.
You can do the backs. The backs are all kind of, whatever. But
yeah. The backs can do their thing. A couple of our other sevens girls are in the centres, and on the wing. So we're sort of everywhere, but I really enjoyed 7. I think it sort of translated well in my game. I enjoy getting over the ball.
With
and
7, you reckon, for a bit?
I think so. Yeah. I'll give it a crack. I sort of
centres or anything like that, maybe.
Well, I literally told my coach, I said, wherever you want me, you put me, and I'll give it a red hot crack.
That's the team thing, showing up for the team, right?
Yeah. And I'm I'm happy to, wherever they think I fit best for the team and for myself, then I'm happy to give it a go. I trust them, and it was good.
Is there an aspiration in the 15s for you?
I think the opportunity to put on an Australian jersey, it's obviously the World Cup year. You can't really turn it down. So I put my hand up for these 2 weeks. So I'm versing Waratahs this weekend at Ballymore, which will be awesome.
Oh, the home of Brisbane Rugby.
The home of Brisbane Rugby.
In the 90s and whatnot. Suncorp Stadium, but yes.
Yes. So I'm versing the Tars, which will be, the Battle of the Borders, which is always a good game. And then I'll head to Hong Kong and Singapore, and then hopefully see what happens there. Yeah.
So 15s back to 7s back to 15s, all pretty similar but different as well, right?
Yeah, very different. So
training different?
Very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot more technical in 15s. A lot more to think about. A lot more to think about, and that's probably coming from someone who's been at 7s for so long that a lot of the moves I just know with my eyes closed. But I think probably in reverse, if a 15s player was to come to 7s, they'd probably think, oh my gosh, what is happening? So, I think it translates really nicely, the two sports. It's you catch and pass, you run, you tackle, you form a ruck. It's sort of not really too tricky besides the technical part. So I'm just slowly learning my way through that.
Couple of personality traits. Confidence. You're a confident person?
I am a confident person. Yep. I'm very confident.
Nervous?
Yeah, I do get nervous for sure. I think
you go back to the moment thing, the flow?
Yeah. And my mum's always told me that nerves are a good thing. The nerves mean your body's getting ready to play. So sometimes I think about that. I'm like, oh yeah, thanks, mum. I can bring myself back to that. And nerves have never been a thing that overtakes me and makes me perform in a way that I shouldn't, or I don't have control over. So I think I'm pretty good at managing my nerves, but I definitely do get nervous.
Structured?
Maybe in some forms of my life. I don't think I'm pretty organized. So I I have a diary, and I like writing things down, and I like knowing what I have in the next coming days, and I like knowing the dates of the next tournaments and stuff like that, and where I can plan my life. But I don't think I'm overbearingly structured.
The diary, what do you write stuff about the game, or you just write it for an organisational point of view?
I have a couple of diaries. I have an organisational diary, and then I have like a book that we get given that I take to all my team meetings that I'll write. Like, for example, if we're versing a team that weekend, we have a meeting about the team, and I write down the few little key points that our coach puts up, and I just refer back to that prior to the game just to know I'm clear, the moves, the structure we want to play, etc., etc.
Do you ever write down your feelings after a game and then sort of look back and reflect and go, I either don't want that feeling ever again, or that was the best feeling ever and I want that again? Yeah,
I often do journal a little bit. I think I don't do it strictly post a game, I think, because we play so many games in a tournament, but I do enjoy after an experience that maybe I feel really stressed about or I feel a bit overwhelmed about. I do really enjoy writing it down. I think it sort of like puts my thoughts into reality a little bit, and I'm like, okay, it's actually not that bad, and I can sort of refocus my energy somewhere else. But I have been journaling quite a lot.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I had Jared Lyons on, talking about the Brisbane Lions when they lost to Collingwood by 4 in the AFL Grand Final, that they all basically jotted down their feelings after that game, pretty fresh.
Yeah.
And then they brought them out the following year to the final. I thought that was a really interesting way of doing it, that they didn't want to be that again, and how frustrated they were, or whatever the feelings that they were feeling.
Yeah.
But they didn't bring them out halfway through the year. They brought them out towards the end, right towards the final. I thought that's an interesting way of doing it, and sort of potentially inspiring you to kind of, win the game.
Yeah.
More, even though you can't control that too much, but certainly the actual writing down of feelings was interesting. And I know some of the people have played back the games a number of times that you didn't win to kind of inspire. I don't know if that works or not.
Yeah. I don't really rewatch games prior to I rewatch them straight after, and I'll rewatch them again in the team meeting. But I wouldn't go back and watch a negative game prior to a game that I want to perform well in. I sort of just fresh page, know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I focus on my preparation prior to that game, and then the rest is sort of we're sort of process driven, not outcome driven at the end of the day.
You touched on it earlier, but empathetic.
Empathetic, yeah, I think I would be. I'm a crier.
Caring for other people. Yeah.
So I'm very emotive with my feelings.
Yeah.
So
movies that trigger you off as well.
Movies.
Yeah.
Like
you're a crier in movies.
What's that? The Notebook gets me every time.
That's a serial.
I'm gonna cry thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awful. But
I watched Paddington and Prue the other day with my kids, and that was a little bit teary towards the end. Anyway, you probably haven't seen that. It's more of a kids' movie. Anyway.
No, I've seen Paddington, but I haven't seen Paddington and Prue.
Have you seen Wicked?
I have seen Wicked. I also cried in that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I cried in Mufasa. Cried in Moana.
Actually, Mufasa's got a new one out there now.
Yeah. I saw it in cinema.
Yeah, was it good?
Yeah, it was amazing.
And Moana 1 versus 2?
Oh, it's hard to compare. I think it's my little brother's favourite movie ever. So he loves Moana 1. But yeah, I enjoyed Moana 2. I thought they were pretty on par with how good they were.
And favourite movie of all time?
Ironically, it's probably The Notebook. Yeah. But even though it makes me bawl my eyes out.
You can watch it over and over again.
Over and over. Yeah. It's so good.
I'm going to touch on the scoreboard moment, which is a moment in your life where potentially it's very memorable, but it potentially could have changed everything for you or has changed everything for you. Your scoreboard moment. Yeah,
probably in my final year of school in grade 12, I played for the University of Queensland in an Aon series, which was a pretty big series at the time, and where a lot of the Australian players would come back and play, and some of them were Olympic athletes. And as a teenager, being exposed to that environment and being exposed to that was pretty awesome. And I think in that moment I was like, oh, this is like something I really want to do, and maybe something that I could be really good at. And yeah, it was just like an awesome experience, and it's probably my moment.
And then if we redo this podcast in a year's time, what would you have loved 2025 to be and to look like for you?
Yeah, I think this year probably is so full of so many opportunities. So maybe in a year's time, I could reflect on the opportunities that I was given and how I took them, and maybe what came from those opportunities. I could reflect back.
One final question.
Yeah.
The Rugby Sevens, your life, and Rugby 15s now as well, to a degree, rugby everywhere. Do you switch off? And if you do, what sort of triggers you to switch off and potentially not think about rugby for a second?
Yeah, I'm a very big family person. So to switch off, I call my mum, call my dad. And when I'm in Sydney, I actually live with my first cousin. So to switch off, we love going to the beach. I love just hanging at the beach for the day, going for a walk, reading a book. But yeah, I'm a big family person, so probably reaching out to them. I have big support from my partner and my family and everyone at home. So yeah, that's the way I switch off.
Bella, thank you so much for coming in today and being part of the Scoreboard podcast, and congratulations on your achievements thus far with the Sevens and captaining the national team and the recent win in Perth and playing 15s now for your state and hopefully future aspirations there as well. I wish you all the best and looking forward to following your progress.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.